Dr. Laurel Mason's head hurt. Last night's party to celebrate the new research funding had gone on too long. Now she sat alone in the quiet observatory, nursing a cup of black coffee and watching the radar screens. Everyone else had gone home, to sleep off the celebration. The soft beep from the radar made her look up. A new light blinked on the screen. Laurel frowned. Nothing should be there, especially nothing moving in that pattern. She adjusted the settings, thinking it must be a glitch. The beep came again, louder this time. The light was bigger, brighter, and coming closer. Laurel grabbed her phone to call her boss, but stopped when the building began to shake. The coffee cup fell from her desk, spilling across the floor. Outside, the sky darkened as if a storm was coming. But this was no storm. Through the large observatory windows, Laurel watched as something massive broke through the clouds. It was like nothing she had ever seen before. A huge ship made of what looked like crystal and metal. It glowed with strange lights and moved without making a sound. This can't be happening, Laurel whispered to herself. She had studied the possibility of alien life for years, but never truly expected to find it, especially not while hungover on a Tuesday morning in Montana. The ship hovered above the research facility, casting a shadow over everything. Laurel's phone buzzed with incoming calls, but she couldn't take her eyes off the ship. It was beautiful in a strange, frightening way. A beam of light shot down from the ship, touching the ground just outside the main doors. Laurel ran through the building, her heart pounding. By the time she reached the entrance, a small crowd of security guards had gathered, their guns drawn. "Don't shoot," Laurel said, pushing her way through. "We don't know what they want." The light beam widened, and something began to take shape within it. A figure stepped out onto the grass. Laurel gasped. It was a woman, or at least something that looked very much like a woman. She stood taller than any human, with skin the color of violets. Strange markings moved across her skin like living tattoos. Her eyes were large and seemed to glow from within, and she wore what looked like armor made of the same crystal as the ship. The alien looked around at the humans, then focused on Laurel, who had stepped forward. "You are the scientist in charge?" Her voice came through clear English, though her mouth made clicking sounds instead of words. A small device at her throat glowed when she spoke. "I'm Dr. Laurel Mason," Laurel said, trying to keep her voice steady. "I'm the senior researcher on duty right now." The alien woman studied Laurel with narrowed eyes. "You appear to be in your non-fertile state. This is disappointing. I had hoped to meet humans during their mating season." Laurel almost choked. Of all the first words from an alien visitor, she hadn't expected those. "I'm sorry, our what?" "Your mating season," the alien repeated, tilting her head like a curious bird. "Our intelligence suggests humans don't mate year-round. I've come to confirm this biological oddity myself. That's not..." Laurel struggled to find words. "Who are you?" The alien made a series of musical clicks, then said, "You may call me Princess Zara of the Vexelian Empire. We rule 17 star systems across this galaxy. Your planet has come to our attention." By now, more people had arrived. Security teams, other scientists who lived on site, and local police. Phones were out, recording everything. Laurel knew this moment would change human history forever. "Why is our reproductive cycle of interest to you?" Laurel asked. Zara's skin markings shifted to a darker purple. "It is a matter of strategic importance. Species who can control their mating behaviors have certain advantages. We must determine if humans possess this trait." More vehicles arrived, these with government markings. Men in suits rushed toward them, shouting into phones. Laurel knew she might only have a few more minutes before she was pushed aside. "Princess Zara, we welcome you to Earth," she said quickly. "But there's a misunderstanding. Humans don't have a mating season. We reproduce differently than what you might expect." Zara's eyes widened. So the intelligence was correct. How fascinating. She touched a crystal on her wrist, and a beam of light shot back up to the ship. "I will need to study this phenomenon. Prepare your facility for my research team." "Wait," Laurel said. "We have protocols for first contact." There are leaders you should meet, agreements to be made. Zara waved her hand dismissively. I am not interested in your leaders. I am interested in your biology. You will assist me, Dr. Laurel Mason. It wasn't a request. The government agents reached them out of breath and wide-eyed. One of them, a tall man in a black suit, stepped forward. I'm with National Security. We need to establish a secure perimeter and begin official diplomatic. Zara cut him off by simply raising her hand. The man's voice stopped, though his mouth kept moving. After a few confused seconds, he touched his throat, panicking. I've temporarily disabled his speech function, Zara explained to Laurel. These interruptions are inefficient. Take me to your research facilities. More lights appeared in the sky. Smaller ships, breaking away from the main vessel. They positioned themselves around the area, creating a ring above the research center. What are those? Laurel asked, pointing up. Protection, Zara said simply. Now, shall we begin? I have many questions about human reproduction and limited patience. Laurel looked at the government agents, who were now speaking urgently into their phones. Military vehicles could be heard in the distance. This situation could turn dangerous very quickly. I'll show you our facilities, Laurel said carefully. But I need your word that no one will be harmed. Zara's skin flashed with patterns Laurel couldn't understand. Harm is not my mission. Knowledge is. Though I should warn you, my second-in-command, Commander Nix, has different opinions about how we should approach Earth. She waits on our main ship with a full battle fleet. Battle fleet? Laurel repeated, her mouth dry. Zara smiled, showing teeth that seemed too sharp. Perhaps you can convince me that humans are worth studying rather than conquering. Your unusual reproductive biology might just save your species, Dr. Mason. And with that, Princess Zara of the Vexellian Empire walked past the stunned government agents and into the human research facility like she owned it. Laurel hurried after her, feeling like the fate of humanity had somehow landed in her hungover, unprepared hands. The sun glinted off the massive ship above as the world's news media began to arrive. Humanity's first contact had begun with the strangest question imaginable. Do humans have a mating season? And for some reason, the answer seemed vitally important. 2 days before the experiment was set to end, Laurel found Princess Zara in the observatory late at night. The alien stood alone, gazing up at the stars through the large dome window. Her skin glowed softly in the darkness, the patterns more gentle than when she had first arrived. Can't sleep? Laurel asked, coming to stand beside her. Zara didn't look away from the stars. Vexellians require less rest than humans. I was thinking. About the experiment? About many things. Zara pointed to a section of the night sky. My homeworld is there, beyond what your telescopes can see. When I look at it from here, it seems very far away. Something in her voice made Laurel study her more carefully. Is everything okay? You seem different lately. Zara turned to face her. I am different, that's the problem. Her skin rippled with patterns Laurel had never seen before. The data from the experiment is conclusive. Humans do not have a mating season. Your reproductive behaviors are truly voluntary. That's good news, right? Laurel said. That's what you came to prove. Yes, but there's more. Zara touched her crystal tablet, bringing up charts and images. Humans channel reproductive energy into so many other things. Art, music, emotional bonds, even scientific discovery. It's not just that you can control when you mate, it's what you do with that energy instead. And that's surprising to you? It's revolutionary. Zara's eyes seemed brighter than usual. Vexellians have always believed that our 7-year reproductive cycle is what makes us superior. We use the time between mating periods to conquer and expand. But humans, you create, you connect, you transform energy into beauty and innovation. Laurel smiled. I never thought of it that way. Neither had I. Zara looked troubled now. I've sent my findings to the High Council, but Commander Nix has sent her own report. She believes humans represent a threat precisely because of these abilities. A threat? How? A species that can channel biological impulses into creation rather than just conquest. Zara hesitated. It challenges our entire understanding of evolutionary advantage. Before Laurel could respond, the observatory door opened. Commander Nix entered, her armor gleaming darkly. She looked from Zara to Laurel, her expression cold. "Princess, you missed our scheduled communication with the High Council," Nix said. "I was completing my research analysis," Zara replied, straightening her posture. "You were watching the stars with a human," Nix countered. Her gaze shifted to Laurel. "Leave us." "Dr. Mason is assisting with my final conclusions," Zara said quickly. Nix's skin flashed with sharp, aggressive patterns. "Your conclusions are compromised by excessive interaction with the subjects. The Council agrees." Laurel felt tension building between the aliens. "Maybe I should go." "No," Zara said firmly. "This concerns Earth. Dr. Mason has a right to hear it." Nix's eyes narrowed, but she didn't argue further. "The Council has reviewed our preliminary reports. They find the human biological anomaly concerning. A species that can mate year-round, yet channel that energy into other pursuits. It makes them unpredictable. It makes them adaptable," Zara corrected. "An evolutionary advantage we should study, not fear." "Study?" Nix laughed, a harsh sound through her translator. "Your data shows humans produce art, music, and emotional bonds instead of expanding their territory. How is that advantageous?" "It's a different kind of strength," Zara insisted. Nix stepped closer to Zara. "You've been contaminated by human thinking. The princess I knew would see the threat they pose." "The threat?" Zara challenged. "What I see is possibility. Vexellians have conquered 17 systems, but what have we created? What beauty have we added to the galaxy?" Nix's skin darkened to almost black. "Creation is irrelevant. Power is what matters. Maybe that's why we're stuck in an endless cycle of conquest," Zara said quietly. "Maybe there's more to evolution than just expanding territory." The two aliens stared at each other, the tension crackling between them. Laurel stood still, barely breathing, aware she was witnessing something profound. A fundamental philosophical divide between two members of an alien species. Finally, Nix stepped back. "The Council has made its decision. The experiment ends now. We depart in 2 days." "But that's early," Laurel protested. "We had an agreement." "Agreements change when new information emerges," Nix said coldly. "Princess Zara's reports show concerning trends, not just in humans, but in her own behaviors." "What does that mean?" Laurel asked, looking between the two aliens. "It means," Nix said, "the invasion fleet has been dispatched. They will arrive in 3 days." "What?" Laurel gasped. "But the experiment isn't even finished." "It's finished enough," Nix stated. "Humans represent a biological threat to Vexellian evolutionary superiority. The Council has determined that preemptive action is required." Zara stepped forward. "I haven't submitted my final recommendation." "Your judgment is compromised," Nix said dismissively. "The Council has relieved you of your research authority." Zara's skin flashed with patterns so bright they almost hurt to look at. "You went behind my back. You told them I was contaminated by human influence. Because you are." Nix gestured at Zara's skin. "Look at your patterns. Soft, flowing, emotional. You've started adopting human mannerisms. You laugh, you enjoy music. You stare at stars for no tactical purpose. You are no longer thinking like a Vexellian." Laurel watched Zara's reaction and saw something she hadn't expected. Not anger or denial, but consideration. Zara looked down at her own skin, studying the patterns that swirled there. "Perhaps," Zara said slowly, "I am thinking more clearly than ever before." Nix shook her head. "The fleet has been dispatched. In 3 days they will establish control of this planet. The humans' unusual biology will be studied under proper conditions." "Proper conditions?" Laurel asked, her voice shaking slightly. "What does that mean?" "Controlled environments," Nix replied. selected breeding programs, containment of dangerous creative impulses. Experimentation, Laurel translated, her stomach turning. You're talking about treating us like lab animals. I'm talking about managing a biological threat, Nix corrected. The Council believes humans unchecked could eventually challenge Vexillian dominance. Because we can choose when to mate? Laurel asked incredulously. Because you can choose what to do with your energy, Nix said. Most species are slaves to their biology. We Vexillians harness our non-mating periods for conquest. But humans, you create art, music, literature, you form emotional bonds, you innovate without biological necessity driving you. That makes you unpredictable, dangerous. Laurel looked at Zara, hoping for help, but the princess had gone quiet, her skin patterns shifting slowly as if she was deep in thought. Princess Zara, Laurel said desperately, you can't let this happen. You've seen how we live. We're not a threat to your people. Zara's eyes refocused on Laurel. I need time to think. This changes everything. There's nothing to think about, Nix stated. The decision is made. The fleet comes. Prepare your planet as you see fit, Dr. Mason, though resistance would be pointless. With that, Nix turned and left the observatory, her footsteps echoing in the quiet space. When the door closed behind her, Laurel turned to Zara. Are you really going to let this happen? After everything you've learned about us? Zara's expression was troubled. I don't know if I can stop it. I've been removed from authority on this mission. Because you started to understand us, Laurel said. Because you saw value in the way we live. Yes. Zara touched her own arm, watching the patterns flow. These patterns, they're not Vexillian anymore. Nix is right about that. I've changed. Is that so wrong? Laurel asked. Zara looked up at the stars again. In Vexillian culture, yes. Change is weakness. Consistency is strength. She paused. But I've been thinking, maybe that's why we conquer instead of create. Maybe that's why we're always expanding but never growing. Laurel stepped closer to her. Help us, Zara. There must be something you can do. I'm not sure there is. The fleet has been dispatched. The Council won't reverse their decision based on my recommendation, not when Nix has convinced them I'm compromised. Zara's skin dimmed. I never meant for this to happen. I came to study, not to trigger an invasion. Then why did you come at all? Laurel asked. Why was our reproductive biology so important to study? Zara was quiet for a long moment. Because there were rumors. Stories about species that could control their mating impulses. Species that used that control to create rather than conquer. The Council has always feared such species might eventually challenge Vexillian dominance. And now they've found one, Laurel said softly. Yes, and worse, from their perspective. I've started to question our own ways after observing yours. Zara's skin brightened slightly. That's why Nix intervened, not just because humans are a threat, but because I was beginning to see beauty in your way of life. What will you do now? Laurel asked. I don't know, Zara admitted. I need to think. For the next 24 hours, the research facility was in chaos. Laurel alerted the government about the impending invasion. Military forces began to mobilize, though everyone knew Earth weapons would be useless against Vexillian technology. Scientists worked frantically to analyze the data they had about the aliens, looking for any weakness or advantage. Laurel stood in the conference room facing a group of confused volunteers. Behind her, a digital screen showed the words, Operation Reproduction Education, a name the government had chosen, not her. Princess Zara sat in the corner, her violet skin glowing under the fluorescent lights as she watched with intense interest. Thank you all for coming, Laurel began. As you know, our visitor has questions about human biology. Your participation is considered vital to national security. A woman in the front row raised her hand. She was in her 30s with curly brown hair and an intelligent face. Dr. Mason, I'm Ashley Morgan from the anthropology department. I still don't understand what exactly we're being asked to do. Laurel took a deep breath. Princess Zara's species believes that humans are hiding the fact that we have a mating season. She needs proof that humans can control their reproductive urges year-round. So we're supposed to not have sex? A man asked, looking confused. It's more complicated than that, Laurel explained. Princess Zara wants to observe humans in normal social settings to confirm that our reproductive behaviors are by choice, not biological imperative. Another woman spoke up. She had short blonde hair and wore a lab coat. I'm Kelly Bennett, reproductive biologist. Let me get this straight. An alien princess thinks humans are lying about not having a mating season, and if we can't prove it, her species might invade Earth? Laurel nodded tiredly. That's about the size of it. And the Pentagon approved the experiment? Ashley asked. They're calling it vital to national security, Laurel replied, with a small shrug. Kelly crossed her arms. So what exactly will this experiment involve? Laurel clicked to the next slide, showing a schedule. A 3-week observation period. Princess Zara will monitor volunteers going about daily life, working, socializing, exercising. She'll track hormone levels, brain activity, and social interactions. And we're the guinea pigs, Ashley stated. Willing participants in a cultural exchange, Laurel corrected, using the official language she'd been given. The data will help Princess Zara understand that human sexuality is by choice, not biological imperative. Princess Zara stood up suddenly, her tall frame towering over most humans in the room. Your assistance is appreciated. My research will determine whether your species possesses evolutionary advantages that the Vexellian High Council should be concerned about. A nervous silence fell over the room. Zara's directness often had that effect on people. Will we be watched all the time? Someone asked. You will wear these, Zara said, holding up what looked like small crystal bracelets. They monitor biological functions without invasion of privacy. I'm interested in data patterns, not individual behaviors. What about our regular jobs? A man asked. Continue as normal, Laurel said. That's the whole point, to show that humans function without being driven by reproductive urges. As the volunteers asked more questions, the door at the back of the room opened. A new alien entered, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop. Unlike Princess Zara's curious demeanor, this alien radiated cold authority. She wore armor that gleamed like black ice, with red markings across her violet skin. Commander Nix, Zara said, her skin pattern shifting to something more formal. I didn't expect you to leave the ship. The High Council requested direct observation, Commander Nix replied. Her translator made her voice sound harsh compared to Zara's. They find your research methods too lenient. Laurel felt a chill run down her spine. While Zara was curious and sometimes demanding, she had never seemed threatening. Nix was different. Everything about her suggested danger. Commander, Laurel said, stepping forward. Welcome to Earth. I'm Dr. Laurel Mason, the lead scientist working with Princess Zara. Nix barely looked at her. Humans waste resources on pleasure, she said to Zara. Their biological anomaly makes them unpredictable and dangerous. This experiment is unnecessary. The Council would prefer a direct approach. The Council approved my research, Zara countered, her skin flashing with what Laurel had learned to recognize as irritation. 3 weeks. That was our agreement. 2 weeks, Nick stated. The fleet is restless. The humans in the room exchanged worried glances. The fleet Nix mentioned was the massive warship hovering above Montana, visible for miles around. No one had forgotten its presence. Fine. 2 weeks, Zara agreed. She turned to the volunteers. We begin tomorrow. Dr. Mason will provide details. As the aliens moved to leave, Kelly Bennett stood up. Wait. Before we agree to this, I have questions for Commander Nix. Nix turned slowly, her eyes narrowing at the human's boldness. Speak. What exactly does your direct approach mean? Kelly asked. Because it sounds like a threat. The room went still. Laurel held her breath. Commander Nix's skin darkened to, almost black. The Vexellian Empire has encountered 17 other sentient species. 15 have joined our collective. 2 refused. And what happened to those 2? Kelly pressed. They no longer exist, Nick said simply. A heavy silence fell over the room. That's enough, Zara cut in. Commander Nick speaks of ancient history. Current Vexellian policy favors integration over elimination. When beneficial, Nix added. Laurel stepped between them. We understand the stakes. The experiment will proceed as planned. After the aliens left, the volunteers gathered around Laurel. Are we really doing this? Ashley asked. Being alien lab rats to prevent an invasion? Laurel ran a hand through her hair. Look, I know it's weird, but Princess Zara is genuinely curious about us. I think she's on our side, or could be. Commander Nix is the real problem. Nix wants to invade, Kelly stated. That's clear. Which is why we need to make this experiment work, Laurel said firmly. We need to prove humans can control our biology in ways the Vexellians can't. It might be our only chance. The next morning, the experiment began. 30 volunteers, including Laurel, Ashley, and Kelly, received crystal bracelets that glowed with soft light when attached to their wrists. They monitor hormone levels, neural activity, and vital signs, Zara explained as she adjusted Laurel's bracelet. Completely non-invasive. And you can see all that data? Laurel asked. It transmits to my ship, Zara confirmed. I'll analyze patterns across your population sample. For the first week, life took on a strange new normal. The volunteers went about their daily routines, working, exercising, socializing, all while wearing alien technology on their wrists. Zara observed them in various settings, taking notes on a crystal tablet. Commander Nix appeared occasionally, watching with cold eyes and saying little. At the end of each day, Laurel would meet with Zara to review findings. The princess became increasingly fascinated with human behaviors. Your species uses touch for non-reproductive bonding, she observed, one evening. These hugs, they serve no biological function, yet humans seek them out. Touch is important to us, Laurel explained. It provides comfort, security, connection. Connection, Zara repeated, a word she often seemed to puzzle over. Vexellians don't connect. We align for mutual benefit, but individual attachments are discouraged outside mating periods. That sounds lonely, Laurel said without thinking. Zara looked surprised. Loneliness is a concept we don't have. When not in mating cycles, we focus on conquest and achievement. Is that fulfilling? Laurel asked. Zara's skin showed patterns Laurel hadn't seen before. Fulfillment is irrelevant. Efficiency is what matters. But Laurel noticed something interesting. The more time Zara spent with humans, the more questions she asked about things beyond reproduction. She became curious about music, art, even jokes, though human humor baffled her completely. 10 days into the experiment, Laurel organized a small gathering at the research facility. Nothing fancy, just food, music, and conversation. She invited all the volunteers, and to everyone's surprise, both Zara and Nix attended. While Zara mingled awkwardly with the humans, trying different foods and asking endless questions, Commander Nix stood against a wall watching everything with suspicious eyes. Ashley approached Laurel by the refreshment table. Have you noticed the princess is changing? She whispered. Laurel nodded. Her skin patterns are different, less sharp, more flowing, and she's asking about things beyond the experiment. That's not all. Kelly joined them, keeping her voice low. She's developing favorites, foods she prefers, music she likes. That's not very Vexellian, based on what she's told us about her species. Do you think that's good or bad? Laurel asked. Before either could answer, Commander Nix appeared beside them, moving with unnerving silence. What are you discussing? She demanded. The women jumped slightly. Just the progress of the experiment, Laurel said quickly. Nix's eyes narrowed. Princess Zara grows too comfortable among humans. The High Council is concerned. Isn't cultural, understanding the point of her research? Ashley asked boldly. Research, yes. Integration, no. Nix looked across the room at Zara, who was laughing at something a volunteer had said. Vexellians do not laugh. We do not waste energy on entertainment. Yet the princess now does both. Maybe she's learning from us, Kelly suggested. Nix turned, her cold gaze on the scientist. Perhaps. Or perhaps she is being contaminated. Either way, my report to the High Council will recommend caution regarding humanity. 3 days passed since Princess Zara arrived at the Montana Research Facility. 3 days that turned Laurel's life upside down. The world outside had gone crazy. News vans camped at the edges of the military perimeter. World leaders demanded meetings that Zara refused to attend. Social media exploded with alien memes. Inside the facility, Zara moved like she owned the place. She set up strange crystal equipment in the main lab and interviewed every scientist she could find. But she always came back to Laurel with more questions. Your reproductive cycle makes no sense, Zara said on the morning of the 4th day. She paced around Laurel's office, her violet skin flashing with patterns that seemed to show frustration. Why would evolution create a species that can mate at any time? It wastes energy. Laurel sipped her coffee, feeling more rested than she had in days. The government had sent a team of experts to help her deal with their alien visitor. They waited. Outside the office now. It's not just about reproduction for humans, Laurel tried to explain. Intimacy serves social purposes too. It creates bonds between people. Zara stopped pacing. Bonds? You mean like family units? Sometimes, but also just connections. Pleasure. Comfort. The alien princess looked genuinely confused. Her skin, patterns swirled in what Laurel had started to recognize as her thinking pattern. Vexellians mate once every 7 years, Zara finally said. When the time comes, our bodies change. We focus only on finding the best genetic match. After mating, we return to our normal lives, building our empire, advancing technology, conquering worlds. That sounds efficient, Laurel said carefully. It is. Zara's eyes lit up. We channel our energies properly. That's why we've conquered 17 star systems while your species is still stuck on one planet. A knock on the door interrupted them. A military officer entered, standing stiffly. Dr. Mason, the Pentagon representatives have arrived. They insist on meeting with the alien visitor. Zara's skin darkened. More tedious officials? I told you, I'm not interested in your power structures. I'm here to study your biology. The officer cleared his throat. Ma'am, I'm afraid they're insisting. There are security concerns. Zara waved her hand. Like the government agent days before, the officer's voice cut out mid-sentence. His eyes widened in panic. He'll regain his speech in an hour, Zara told Laurel. These interruptions waste time. Laurel sighed. Princess Zara, I understand your focus on research, but our world leaders are concerned. Your ships are still positioned over our facility. People are afraid. Fear is a reasonable response to a superior force, Zara said simply. But I've told you, I'm here to study, not conquer. She paused. Though Commander Nix grows impatient, she believes study is unnecessary. Maybe you should meet with our representatives, Laurel suggested, just briefly. It might help calm things down. Zara considered this. Very well. One meeting. Bring them here. 30 minutes later, Laurel's office was crowded. Pentagon officials in uniform stood along one wall. Diplomats sent by the president lined another. Zara sat in Laurel's chair looking bored. Princess Zara, began a gray-haired woman in a sharp suit. I'm Margaret Wilson, presidential envoy. We welcome you to Earth and wish to establish diplomatic relations between our world and your empire. Zara yawned, showing her 2 sharp teeth. Yes, formalities. As I've told Dr. Mason, I'm not here for diplomacy. I'm here to study human reproduction. The officials exchanged uncomfortable glances. Perhaps we could discuss trade opportunities, tried another diplomat. Cultural exchange. Your culture doesn't interest me, Zara cut in. Only your unusual biology. Humans appear to have evolved without mating seasons, which defies evolutionary logic. I must determine if this is true and what advantages it gives you. A military general stepped forward. With respect, Your Highness, we need assurances about your fleet's intentions. Our defense systems are primitive and could be disabled in seconds. Zara finished for him. Her skin flashed with sharp, angular patterns. But that's not why I'm here. The room fell silent. Laurel felt the tension rising. Princess, Laurel said gently, perhaps you could explain why our reproductive patterns are so important to your people? It might help everyone understand your mission better. Zara sighed but nodded. The Vexellian High Council believes species with year-round mating capabilities might pose unique threats. If humans truly can control their reproductive urges and channel that energy into other pursuits, you might be more unpredictable than we initially assessed. Threats? The general asked, his hand moving slightly toward his sidearm. Laurel shot him a warning look. Yes, Zara continued. Most species we've encountered have clear mating cycles. They're predictable, easy to study, easy to manage. But species without such limitations tend to be more creative, more adaptable. Her eyes focused on Laurel. More dangerous. The implications hung in the air. Laurel's throat felt dry. So this research will determine how your people view humanity? Precisely. Zara nodded. If humans possess this biological advantage, the High Council will consider Earth too dangerous to invade outright. Alternative approaches would be needed. The room erupted in voices. The general shouted about Earth's defenses. Diplomats tried to talk over each other about peaceful intentions. Laurel just watched Zara, whose skin patterns had shifted to something that looked almost amused. Enough, Laurel finally shouted. The room fell quiet. Princess Zara has been honest about her mission. Fighting won't help. If she wants to study human reproduction, then let's help her understand it properly. Zara's eyes lit up. Exactly. At least someone here is reasonable. She stood up. I've already sent preliminary findings to my ship. Commander Nix is reviewing them, but she remains skeptical. She believes humans are hiding their true mating patterns. Hiding? Laurel asked, confused. Yes. Nix thinks your claim to mate year-round is a deception to make your species seem more formidable. Zara leaned closer to Laurel. She wants proof. What kind of proof? One of the diplomats asked carefully. Zara smiled. I need to observe humans in their natural environments. Monitor hormone levels, brain activity, social interactions. I need to confirm that humans truly can choose when to mate, rather than being driven by biological imperatives. The officials exchanged horrified looks. You want to watch people having sex? The general asked bluntly. Zara blinked, confused. No. I want to watch people choosing not to have sex. That's the fascinating part. If humans can suppress mating urges at will, that's the evidence I need. Laurel couldn't help but laugh. The tension in the room broke slightly. So you want proof that humans can control their sexual impulses? Laurel clarified. Precisely. Zara clapped her hands. Show me that humans can live alongside potential mates without being driven by biological need, and I can report that your species possesses remarkable evolutionary advantages. A young diplomat raised her hand. And if we can't prove it? Zara's skin darkened. Then Commander Nix's approach would be considered. Her battle fleet has been ready since our arrival. The room fell silent again. Laurel looked around at the pale faces of Earth's representatives. I think, Laurel said slowly, we need to set up a proper scientific study, one that will satisfy both Princess Zara's curiosity and Commander Nix's concerns. Zara beamed at her. Excellent. I knew you were the right human to work with. She turned to the others. The rest of you may go. Dr. Mason and I have an experiment to design. The officials didn't move, looking to Laurel for guidance. It's okay, she told them. I'll keep you updated. But Princess Zara is right. This is a scientific question. Let's treat it that way. After they filed out, Zara settled back in Laurel's chair. Your species is strange, Dr. Mason. All these hierarchies and politics, yet you waste so much energy on non-reproductive mating. Laurel sat across from her. That's what makes us human, Princess. We're complicated. Indeed. Zara's skin rippled with new patterns, and that's what makes you potentially dangerous. She leaned forward. So shall we begin planning how humans will prove they don't have a mating season? The future of your planet may depend on it. Laurel nodded, wondering how she would explain to the president that Earth's fate now rested on proving humans could keep their hands off each other. Sometimes first contact was nothing like the movies. The invasion fleet would arrive in less than 24 hours. In the main laboratory of the Montana facility, Zara stood before a group of humans, her skin glowing with purpose. Laurel had gathered everyone the princess had asked for: Ashley, Kelly, and a dozen other volunteers who had participated in the experiment. Thank you all for coming, Zara began. What I'm about to propose has never been attempted in Vexellian history. We're listening, Laurel said, speaking for the group. Zara activated her crystal tablet, projecting images into the air. The High Council believes humans represent a threat because of your ability to channel reproductive energy into creativity rather than conquest. Commander Nix has convinced them that this makes you dangerous and unpredictable. And you disagree? Kelly asked. I used to think as they do, Zara admitted. But my time here has changed me. I've seen how humans transform energy into art, music, emotional bonds, things Vexellians have never valued. She touched her skin, where new patterns. I've started to experience these things myself. It's remarkable. Ashley leaned forward. So what's your plan? A new kind of data transmission to the High Council, Zara explained. Not just scientific findings, but human creativity itself. I want to show them what they've never considered, that our species could be evolutionary complements rather than threats. How would that work? Laurel asked. Zara pointed to the crystal bracelets the volunteers still wore. These don't just monitor biology. They can record experience, sensations, emotions, even creative thought patterns. With your permission, I want to gather the essence of human creativity and send it directly to the council. The humans exchanged uncertain glances. You want to record our feelings? Someone asked. More than that, Zara said. I want to capture what happens in human minds during creative acts, making music, creating art, expressing love. Things Vexellians have no context for. And you think that will stop an invasion? Kelly sounded skeptical. It might, Zara said. The council fears what it doesn't understand, but if they could experience human creativity directly, they might see its value rather than its threat. Laurel studied Zara carefully. There's more to this plan, isn't there? Zara nodded, her skin patterns shifting to something more serious. I will combine human creative patterns with my own changed patterns, proof that Vexellian biology can evolve through contact with yours. It will be controversial. Sounds dangerous, Ashley said. For you, I mean. It is, Zara admitted. No Vexellian has ever challenged the Council's evolutionary doctrine. I would be marked as contaminated, possibly even eliminated. Then why risk it? Kelly asked. Zara was quiet for a moment. Because I've experienced something here that doesn't exist in my culture. You humans call it wonder. The ability to see beauty for its own sake, not just for strategic advantage. I can't go back to thinking the old way. Laurel stepped forward. What do you need from us? Create, Zara said simply. Make music, art, poetry, whatever moves you. The bracelets will record the patterns. I'll compile them into a transmission, unlike anything the Council has ever received. What about Commander Nix? Ashley asked. Won't she try to stop you? Undoubtedly, Zara said. Which is why we must work quickly. She's currently in orbit coordinating with the approaching fleet. We have a few hours at most. The group got to work immediately. Musicians among them played instruments. Artists created paintings and sculptures. Poets wrote verses. Scientists designed beautiful equations and models. Through it all, The crystal bracelets glowed, capturing the unique neural and emotional patterns of human creativity. Laurel worked alongside Zara, helping her compile the data. They worked in silence for a while before Laurel asked the question that had been bothering her. Even if this works, even if the Council sees value in human creativity, what's to stop them from just taking it? Conquering us anyway and harvesting our creative abilities? Zara looked up from her work. That's where my part comes in. I'm not just showing them human creativity. I'm showing them what happens when Vexellians experience it too. She touched her skin. These new patterns I've developed, they're evidence that contact between our species creates something neither could achieve alone. A symbiosis, rather, than a conquest, Laurel said, understanding dawning. Exactly. The Council values evolutionary advantage above all else. If I can prove that alliance with humans offers greater advantages than conquest. Zara let the thought hang in the air. As they worked, the facility's alarm suddenly blared. On the monitors, they could see several of the smaller Vexellian ships descending. Nix, Zara said grimly. She must have detected our activities. Will she stop the transmission? Laurel asked. She'll try. Zara worked faster, her fingers flying, over the crystal controls. The data compilation is nearly complete, but I need time to transmit it directly to the Council, bypassing the fleet's communication systems. The building shook as ships landed outside. Security feeds showed Commander Nix leading a team of Vexellian soldiers toward the entrance. We need to buy time, Laurel said. She turned to the volunteers. Keep working. Ashley, Kelly, help me. Stall them. The three women rushed to the facility's entrance. Security personnel were already there, weapons drawn, though everyone knew they would be useless against Vexellian technology. Stand down, Laurel ordered the guards. No shooting. We need to talk, not fight. The doors slid open, and Commander Nix strode in, flanked by soldiers. Her skin displayed aggressive war patterns, bright red against deep violet. Where is Princess Zara? She demanded. Laurel stepped forward. Commander Nix, please. Whatever you think is happening, violence isn't necessary. The princess is interfering with Council directives, Nix stated. It will not be tolerated. Ashley moved beside Laurel. The princess is gathering data. Isn't that what she came here to do? She is gathering contamination, Nix corrected, and spreading it. You mean creativity? Kelly challenged. That's what you're afraid of, isn't it? Not that we're a threat to you, but that we might change you. Nix's eyes narrowed. Change is weakness. Is it? Laurel asked. Or is it the ultimate form of adaptation? Isn't adaptation what evolution is all about? Before Nix could answer, the lights flickered. A strange hum filled the building, and the crystal bracelets on their wrists glowed brighter. She's transmitting, Nix realized. She pushed past the women, her soldiers following. Laurel, Ashley, and Kelly ran after them, heading back to the lab. When they arrived, they found Zara standing in the center of the room, surrounded by a swirling light that emanated from her crystal tablet. The volunteers stood in a circle around her, their bracelets pulsing with colored light that flowed toward Zara's position. Stop this immediately, Nix commanded. Zara didn't look away from her work. It's too late, Commander. The transmission has begun. What have you done? Nix demanded. I've shown the Council what you feared they would see, Zara replied calmly. The truth about humans, and about ourselves. The light grew brighter, streams of color flowing between the humans and Zara, creating patterns in the air that were beautiful and strange. Nix stepped forward as if to physically stop the process, but then froze, her eyes fixed on the patterns. What is this? She whispered. Creation, Zara said. The thing we Vexellians have forgotten in our endless cycle of conquest. As they watched, the swirling lights began to affect Nix. Her skin patterns, always sharp and militaristic, started to shift. The soldiers behind her showed similar changes, their rigid postures softening slightly as the colored light touched them. You're contaminating them, Laurel realized, looking at Zara with new understanding. I'm awakening them, Zara corrected. Showing them what lies beyond conquest. Nyx shook her head as if trying to clear it. The Council will reject this. They'll see it as an attack. Perhaps, Zara agreed. Or perhaps they'll see it as I have, as the next step in Vexellian evolution. The transmission continued for several minutes, the light growing brighter until it was almost blinding. Then suddenly it stopped. The room fell quiet. Zara lowered, her crystal tablet looking exhausted but determined. "It's done," she said. "The Council has received everything, the human data and my own transformation." "And now we wait?" Laurel asked. Zara nodded. "Now we wait." Hours passed with no response. The invasion fleet drew closer, now visible in Earth's night sky as bright points of light moving in formation. Governments around the world prepared their people for the possibility of alien conquest, though no defense would be effective against Vexellian weapons. Nyx remained in the facility, uncharacteristically quiet. The exposure to the creative patterns had affected her, though she tried to hide it. Her skin occasionally showed unfamiliar patterns that she quickly suppressed. Laurel found Zara in the observatory again, watching the approaching fleet. "Any word from the Council?" she asked. "Nothing," Zara replied, "but they're considering it. If they had rejected it outright, the fleet would have accelerated." "Is that supposed to be comforting?" Laurel asked with a weak smile. "It's hope," Zara said. "Something else I've learned from humans." As dawn broke over Montana, a new signal came through. Zara's crystal tablet lit up with an incoming transmission. She answered it with steady hands, though Laurel could see patterns of anxiety on her skin.